Tonight, we're breaking down a crisis that absolutely exploded overnight, sending shockwaves through an entire nation. Let's get right into it. The anatomy of Pakistan's petrol bomb.
137 rupees. This is the number that changed everything. And just to be clear, that wasn't the new price. That was the increase on a single liter of petrol. It nearly doubled the cost at the pump, literally overnight. I mean, can you even imagine waking up to that? And look, a fuel hike is never just about fuel, is it? It's a massive domino effect. The truck that delivers your food runs on diesel. So, boom, grocery prices shoot up 30%. The van that takes your kids to school, that fare spikes 50%. A simple rickshaw ride almost doubles. Even the rent for your local doctor's clinic goes up because construction and maintenance costs more. Every single corner of the economy feels the punch, and it feels it right away.
This wasn't just another price increase. This was completely unprecedented. We are talking about the largest single-day fuel price hike in the nation's entire recorded history. It's no wonder it sparked nationwide protests, sending furious people out onto the streets demanding answers.
Okay, so you've got people on the streets, right? They're angry, they're confused, and they want to know what's going on. So first, let's really dig into that immediate shock, the human and the economic fallout from this sudden surge. Now, it's really easy to point fingers at something happening far away, right? But here's the crucial question we have to ask. Is a distant war the only reason for this? I mean, if that war just ended tomorrow, would this whole crisis just vanish? Well, the analysis we're looking at here argues absolutely not. And that's what brings us to our next section, the matchstick and the fire. We've got to separate the trigger, the thing that started it all, from the underlying cause. Now, this quote right here, this is where the whole story kind of flips on its head. The source completely reframes the issue. The war in the Middle East? That's just the matchstick that lit the fuse. The massive raging fire? Well, that was apparently built right at home, piece by piece, over 7 decades of bad decisions. So, how did this all happen so fast? Let's walk through the timeline. On February 28th, a huge geopolitical event happens. The Strait of Hormuz gets shut down, cutting off 20% of the world's oil supply. Just 1 week later, bam, Pakistan gets hit with a 55 rupee price jump. Then less than a month after that, the big one drops, the 137 rupee petrol bomb. The connection is direct and it is devastatingly fast. So, okay, if the war was just a matchstick, what exactly was the fire? This section gets right to the heart of the analysis, the decades of decay that made the entire system so incredibly fragile. The source points to 3 critical, just mind-boggling long-term failures. First, putting all your eggs in one basket. Total reliance on the Gulf for oil, while cheaper options from neighbors like Iran or from Russia were ignored. Second, failing to explore their own massive domestic oil reserves. We're talking an estimated 9 billion barrels just sitting there. And third, having no national strategy for solar energy, even while regular citizens were installing panels on their own roofs out of sheer desperation. And you know, hiding underneath all of this is this economic cancer called circular debt. It's an absolutely vicious cycle. The government can't pay the power companies, so the power companies can't afford to buy fuel. So what happens? You get nationwide blackouts, and the debt just keeps spiraling up and up and up, trapping the entire energy sector.
And the scale of that debt? It's just hard to even wrap your head around it. By January of 2026, the central government debt in Pakistan stood at 79 trillion rupees. That's not just a number on a spreadsheet. That is a financial black hole that cripples any real chance of a recovery.
So you've got this absolute disaster on your hands. What do you do? Well, let's take a look at the government's response and why their flawed fixes might have just made things a whole lot worse for the future.
So check this out. To provide 19 billion rupees in temporary price relief, a little band-aid, the government cut 100 billion from its development program. 100 billion. That's money that was supposed to build highways, water projects, schools, and hospitals, the country's future.
And this analogy from the source just hits it perfectly. It's like breaking a hospital's windows just to pay for one patient's medicine. You're creating a much bigger, much more expensive problem down the line just to solve a tiny piece of the problem today. It's totally self-defeating.
So what does the future look like according to this analysis? Well, honestly, it's pretty grim. International travel, that becomes a luxury only the elite can afford. Food inflation in the cities is going to soar. Small factories, unable to keep up with costs, will just have to shut down. And the people who suffer the most? It's always the same story, isn't it? It's the middle and lower classes who get hit the hardest, pushed deeper and deeper into poverty.
Okay, so let's pull the camera back for a second, because this crisis isn't just about Pakistan. The argument here is that this whole thing actually reveals a massive shift in who holds the power on the world stage. So who's got the power now?
And this quote, attributed to Donald Trump, signals a massive shift. The message from America, the self-proclaimed global superpower, is crystal clear. You're on your own now. This is your problem. You take care of it. It seems like America is stepping back from its role as the world's guarantor of security and trade.
And this leads us to a whole new definition of what power even is. It's no longer just about who has the biggest military or who can cause the most destruction. Real power, the source argues, is about who can actually step in and solve the problem.
And this slide really shows you that idea in action. It's a tale of two powers. On one side, you have the US backing away from responsibility. On the other, you have China, which is out there literally building infrastructure and connecting global economies. One is retreating, the other is building.
So the really bold conclusion from this whole analysis is that with this retreat, America has effectively announced that it's no longer the world's sole superpower. A vacuum has been created and other powers are now stepping in to fill it.
Which leaves us with this final, critical question. When the old global order starts to fracture, when the traditional superpowers back away, and when your own internal systems have been decaying for decades, what is a nation like Pakistan truly left with to build its future on?